Welcome to the deep dive. We take the sources you send us, and we pull out the key ideas, the interesting bits, the things that really make you think.
And today, we're diving into something pretty different. The GLLASS game.
GLLASS game.
Oh, okay.
The sources describe it as Government Large Language Assistive Sortition System. That's quite a mouthful.
It is. But the core idea is using AI, specifically large language models, to help citizens participate more directly in governance. It's framed almost like a collaborative strategy game for running things.
Right, a strategy game for civic decisions. So our mission today is to unpack this GLLASS game. We want to get into its structure, what makes it tick, and the philosophy behind it.
Makes sense. Where should we start? The structure seems like a good place.
Yeah, the basic building blocks. How does it actually organize people?
Okay, so it starts with citizens being divided into these small teams. They call them nodes.
Nodes, like network nodes.
Exactly. And they're typically made up of 4 people. Crucially, they're designed to be interdisciplinary.
So different backgrounds, different skills on each team.
Precisely. The idea is to get diverse viewpoints baked in right from the start to avoid, groupthink. Better solutions that way.
Okay, 4 people, mixed skills. How do they pick these people? Is it just volunteering?
No, it's more structured. They use something called weighted sortition.
Sortition. Like drawing lots. Random selection.
Sort of, yeah, random draw, but it's weighted. So they can adjust the odds slightly to ensure a good mix of, say, demographics or relevant expertise within the overall pool of nodes.
Ah, okay, so random, but nudge towards balance. What happens after the draw?
Well, then there are interviews and an orientation process. This helps figure out people's strengths, their interests, so they can group them effectively into those 4-person nodes.
Makes sense. Build balanced teams. And you mentioned earlier the sources talk about specific roles within these nodes. Pillars, I think?
That's right. 4 distinct roles, or pillars.
Oh.
First, there's the academic counselor.
Okay, what's their job?
They're the research person. They bring in the data, the expert knowledge, make sure the node's discussions are grounded in evidence, and importantly, guard against misinformation.
The fact checker and research lead. Got it. Who's next?
Then you have the mediator. Their focus is purely on the process of discussion.
Facilitation.
Exactly. Making sure discussions are constructive, everyone gets heard, conflicts get resolved amicably, keeping the team working together effectively.
Crucial for a small team needing consensus. Okay, third pillar.
That's the GLASS game engineer. This is the tech person.
Ah, the one who deals with the AI and data.
Right. They handle the data analysis, use the technical tools, interface with the AI system, AGGIA. We'll get to that. Interpret analytics, maybe run simulations.
Simulations, like what?
Like, if they're looking at a new traffic policy, the engineer might use an AI model to simulate its potential impact on congestion or safety.
Okay, the tech and simulation expert. And the last one?
The juror. This role is all about ethical oversight.
Ethics. How does that work?
They evaluate proposals against, core societal values, existing laws, and something important called the Consensus Priority List, or CCL. They're like the conscience of the node.
Wow. So each little team has research, process, tech, and ethics built right in. That's comprehensive.
It really is. And the sources emphasize that these nodes have to reach internal consensus. They can't just vote 3-1.
They have to persuade each other, find common ground.
Exactly. The whole philosophy is about blending expertise and democratic deliberation right there at the citizen level.
Okay, that sets the stage for the teams. Now the name, GLLASS game, Government Large Language Assistive Sortition System. That assistive part points to the AI, right? AGGIA. Yes, AGGIA. Stands for Artificial General Governing Intelligence Assistant. It's described as an advanced AI designed specifically to support these nodes.
A support tool, then.
More than just a tool. The sources say it has a degree of agency. It doesn't just wait for commands, it actively participates. It can make recommendations, flag concerns.
Actively participates. But it doesn't make the decisions, right? No, absolutely not. Its agency is advisory. Final calls always rest with the human node members, especially the juror checking the ethical angle. AI is a helper, not the boss.
Okay, that's a critical distinction. So what kinds of things does AGGIA do?
Oh, quite a range. It can process huge amounts of data, like summarizing thousands of public comments on an issue.
That alone sounds useful.
Definitely. It can run those predictive simulations that we mentioned, comparing likely outcomes of different policy choices.
So helping the nodes see potential futures based on their ideas.
Exactly. It can also check proposals for consistency with existing laws or that consensus priority list we talked about. Legal and priority checks, basically.
Makes sense. Keeps things aligned.
And interestingly, it might even propose creative solutions the humans hadn't thought of, sort of an AI brainstorming partner.
AI suggesting novel policy ideas.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Does it monitor the team itself?
It does. It can apparently monitor the process, spot if a node is getting bogged down in disagreement, maybe flag it to the mediator, or notice if someone isn't participating.
Like a process watchdog, too.
Yeah, the underlying idea is using AI to handle the sheer complexity and information overload of modern governance. But, crucially, human judgment, through the node members and the high juror, remains paramount.
So AGGIA crunches the data, runs scenarios, checks rules, suggests ideas, monitors process. But the humans decide. Got it. Now, you've mentioned it a couple of times, this consensus priority list, the CPL. Tell me more about that.
Right, the CPL, think of it as a democratically agreed upon list of the top goals for society. Maybe a CPL 10, the top 10 priorities.
Like what sort of things?
Could be anything society deems most important. Accelerating renewable energy adoption, maybe eliminating homelessness, improving public health metrics. Big picture stuff.
And how is this list decided? Who sets these priorities?
The sources suggest it's determined by the public. Perhaps through large-scale online deliberation, maybe voting systems designed to value reasoned arguments and broad support over just simple clicks. Could involve things like peer review or knowledge challenges to ensure quality input.
So it reflects a broad societal consensus on what matters most. And this list then guides the nodes.
Exactly. It's the strategic direction. Every initiative a node works on, every recommendation AGGIA makes should clearly link back to advancing one or more of these CPL priorities.
And the high juror specifically uses the CPL.
Yes, that's a key part of their ethical oversight, ensuring the node's work aligns with these democratically set goals and values.
Does it help different nodes work together?
It does. If you have multiple nodes working on, say, different aspects of environmental sustainability, the CPL provides a common framework. AGGIA, seeing the whole picture, might even suggest collaborations between nodes tackling related problems.
So it fosters coordination. They're expected to share findings and interact.
Yes, regular interaction and knowledge sharing between nodes is part of the design. It's meant to be a network, not just isolated teams.
Okay, a very goal-directed system. Now, something that really jumped out from the sources was this idea of Civic Coins. What's that about? It sounds like gamification.
It definitely has game-like elements. Civic coins are described as the currency of influence within the GLLASS game. They essentially replace traditional elections and, significantly, monetary lobbying.
Replace money in politics. How do you get these coins?
Nodes earn them when they successfully complete an initiative. Say their policy gets adopted and works, the members of that node get an equal share of civic coins.
As a reward for positive impact.
Precisely, and it's recorded transparently, maybe using blockchain smart contracts, so everyone sees who earned what for doing what.
Okay, so you earn them by achieving things. What can you do with them?
You spend them to exert influence. You could use your coins to vote on proposals from other nodes, or maybe to sponsor a new initiative you think is important, or endorse someone else's idea to give it more weight.
So you spend your earned influence to back things you believe in. Are there rules?
Yes, crucial ones. They're non-tradable, you can't buy or sell them, and they're time-bound. They expire if you don't use them, probably linked to your term of service.
Use it or lose it.
To keep influence flowing, prevent hoarding. It encourages continuous engagement and stops powerful figures from just accumulating influence indefinitely, like what can happen with money in politics today.
Interesting. And all transactions are public.
Yes, on a public ledger. Total transparency. The idea is that influence comes from demonstrable contribution to society, recorded for all to see, and it's spent on civic actions. It flips the script from financial capital to social capital.
Social capital earned through good deeds, basically. And it's not just node members earning these.
Correct. Individual citizens, even those not in nodes, can earn civic coins too.
Wow.
Through things like direct participation in related democratic processes, completing verified online courses on relevant policy topics, or even demonstrating critical thinking skills when interacting with AGGIA on public platforms.
Wow. So the system actively rewards being informed, engaged, and thoughtful.
That's the goal. It creates a system where influence is naturally weighted towards citizens who actively contribute and stay informed.
Okay, that leads into how people actually get into these roles. The sources mention PASS, Philocratic Assessment System of Suitability. What is PASS?
PASS is the framework for selecting people for governance roles, like being in a node. The underlying philocracy idea emphasizes civic service as a privilege and honor, but also a serious obligation.
An obligation. And how long do people serve?
Typically a defined term, the source suggests maybe 1 year. Long enough for consistency, short enough for regular turnover and fresh perspectives.
And there's a formal commitment.
Yes, participants sign a sort of civic contract. They pledge transparency, collaboration, and aligning their efforts with the collective well-being.
What about staying on? Can you serve multiple terms?
You can, but it's not automatic. To be reselected, you go through another pass review. They look at your performance, your teamwork, your ethics, even your civic coin activity as a measure of engagement. You also need to show you're keeping up with training and current issues. You have to maintain a good pass score.
So, merit-based continuation. What if someone gets sick or needs time off? Life happens.
They've thought about that. There's a passive pass pool, pre-qualified citizens ready to step in for short-term emergencies. And there's a formal leave of absence policy for longer nights, like parental leave, with temporary role transfers to keep the node functioning.
Practical considerations. What about paying people? If it's a serious commitment, people need support, right? Especially if you want diverse participants.
Absolutely crucial. The system includes standardized remuneration stipends or salaries reflecting the commitment, plus benefits like health coverage, maybe retirement contributions.
So it aims to remove financial barriers.
Yes, and potentially even legal protections for employees taking time off work for this civic duty, perhaps with government subsidies for businesses. The goal is making it feasible for anyone qualified, regardless of their financial situation, to participate.
Okay, so PASS is about competence, ethics, commitment, with systems for continuity and accessibility. Let's circle back to incentives. How else do Civic Coins shape the system beyond rewarding node initiatives?
Well, they can also influence who gets selected for other government roles, maybe even roles within the nodes if there's a choice.
How so?
Citizens can allocate their earned civic coins to candidates they support. This would likely work alongside something like ranked voting, where you order your preferences.
So you use your coins to boost candidates you think are effective.
Exactly. It becomes a direct signal of constituent support based on perceived performance. It could even factor into re-election or reappointment within a node. People allocate coins to those they feel did a good job.
A performance-based endorsement mechanism, complementing the ranked choice voting.
Right, and ranked voting itself gives a more nuanced picture of preferences than simple first past the post. The whole system really is geared towards encouraging participation in initiatives with real positive effects.
From local stuff to big issues.
Yes, anything from organizing a local park cleanup or community garden, right up to developing national renewable energy policies or even tackling global health challenges.
And the rewards reflect the scale.
Supposedly, yes. Civic coin rewards are proportionate to the initiative's scope, complexity, and impact. It incentivizes both grassroots community action and tackling the really big systemic problems.
So it ties incentives, performance, influence, and accountability together in this continuous loop.
That's the idea. Influence is tied directly to beneficial contributions.
Okay, this is complex. Can we walk through a quick example just to see how the pieces fit together?
Sure. Let's take that CPL priority, improve public health. Imagine a node is assigned to tackle childhood obesity.
Okay, a specific node, specific task.
Right. So the academic counselor digs into the data, obesity rates, nutritional studies, effectiveness of past programs.
Gets the facts straight.
The mediator might convene sessions, maybe online forums with parents or school officials, using AGGIA to summarize the public input efficiently.
Gathers perspectives.
The GLLASS game engineer could then analyze different potential interventions, changing school lunches, adding more PE classes, public awareness campaigns, and use AGGIA to run simulations on their likely impact and cost effectiveness. Test the options.
And throughout, the high juror is checking everything. Are the proposed interventions ethical? Do they respect family autonomy? Are they aligned with the CPL and legal frameworks?
The ethical check. Okay, so the node works through this. What next?
Let's say they develop a plan involving healthier school meals and a linked community fitness campaign. AGGIA runs simulations showing positive projections for health outcomes and maybe even reduced long-term healthcare costs.
They have a data-backed proposal.
Right. They might coordinate with another node working on, say, mental health in schools to ensure their campaigns are complementary. Then, they submit their proposal through the GLASS system.
And it gets voted on.
Yeah, depending on the scale, it might be voted on by other relevant nodes, perhaps a higher council, or maybe even requires broader public endorsement using Civic Coins, if it passes.
Implementation.
Relevant government departments would implement the new lunch program and awareness campaign. And importantly, once it's rolled out and its positive impact is verified.
Civic Coins for the node members. Exactly. They get their reward for successful work.
And then those coins are active.
Yep. Maybe one member, whose term is ending soon, uses their expiring coins to strongly endorse a related proposal for after-school sports programs, keeping the momentum going on public health.
Using their earned influence.
And another member might be up for reappointment. Other citizens or node members could use their civic coins, alongside ranked voting, to support that member's continuation based on their effective work on the obesity initiative.
It really connects contribution to continued influence and further action.
Here.
Okay, zooming out again, what's the big picture here? The philosophical underpinning of this whole GLSS game idea.
Well, the sources frame it as much more than just a slicker way to manage government. It's based on a philosophy of collaborative civic engagement, almost like collective scientific research, where many teams contribute pieces to build a larger understanding.
Governance as collective intelligence.
Something like that. And the game elements, the civic coins, the challenges, they're partly there to make civic duty more engaging, maybe especially for younger people who are used to interactive systems.
Make it feel less like a chore and more like a meaningful challenge.
Right. Fostering a culture where participating in governance is seen as an honor, something stimulating. And the AGGIA isn't positioned as a techno-utopian fix, but as a necessary tool.
A tool to handle modern complexity.
Exactly. Leveraging technology to augment democracy in an age of information overload while building in human judgment and ethics at every stage. The system also has these checks and balances built in sortition, term limits, the public ledger.
To prevent capture or corruption.
That's the aim, to maintain integrity and fairness. Fundamentally, GLLSS seems to want a redefined democracy, not just voting every few years, but constant active problem-solving by engaged citizens.
Shifting participation from just voting to actual decision-making?
Yes, and it redefines leadership, too. Not as a permanent status, but as temporary roles filled by capable citizens focused on collective tasks. It tries to dial down the ego-driven aspect of politics.
Interesting. So it's a blend of ideas.
It really is. It pulls from direct democracy, from sortition, adds accountability through transparency and those civic coins, and uses AI strategically for rationality, all while trying to keep broader societal well-being, like those CPL goals, front and center.
Okay, so to boil it down, GLLASS GAME is about citizen teams, these nodes with specific roles, guided by democratically set priorities, assisted by an active AI partner, AGGIA, incentivized by civic coins earned through contributions, with people selected through a merit-focused pass system.
That captures the core elements really well. For someone listening wanting to get up to speed quickly, it represents a very thought-through, structured alternative for governance, trying to seriously blend citizen wisdom with expert input and technological capacity.
Definitely a lot to chew on there. It offers a potential blueprint, doesn't it? So here's something to leave you thinking about. Given that a system like GLASS relies heavily on AI, data, and preset priorities via the CPL, how well could it actually adapt to sudden, unexpected crises, things like a pandemic or a major geopolitical shift that might not fit neatly into existing data or established priorities? What kind of flexibility or override mechanisms would need to be built in to ensure such a structured system could still be agile and responsive when truly novel situations arise? Ponder that one, let us know your thoughts, and join us next time for another deep dive.